What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my garden. It is officially fall and I am so excited. It is the end of September and the cooler weather, I hope, is really starting to make its way here. The last week has basically been 80 degrees or below and a lot of rain. For example, we've got some big clouds overhead, but they are actually blocking me from the rays of the sun right now, so I really appreciate them. It has been pouring rain for the last few days, and I thought that right now, while the soil is all drenched, would be a great time to get some things planted, specifically carrots. So this container here is where I'm going to be planting my first round of fall carrots. I could have started carrots previously and already had some growing, but I didn't do that, so we're still going to start some now. I did say that the soil has been getting drenched, and it has been, but some of my soil is just a little bit hydrophobic. So I mixed this up as well as I could, and I brought out this watering can with, you can see the water looks brown. This has Neptunes Harvest Fish and Seaweed Emulsion Fertilizer. It is a water-soluble fertilizer that my plants really love. I've been using it for a few years, and this soil is just pre-used. And I don't currently have any compost. So, watered with that to drench the soil and give it some health. I'm going to give it a mix because, like I said, it was a bit hydrophobic, so it might take a little bit of extra help in order for the soil to really soak up that water and nutrients. Going to soak it again. Extra dry soil will absorb a lot more water than you think it will. So I just had a whole 2 gallons ready just in case. I'm going to give it one more soak. And then I'm going to mix it up with the full-size shovel to really make sure it's getting down in there. See how it's so dry down there even though I just soaked it? Looks like it might take this whole watering can. Oh, it is going to take in this whole watering can. Oh, the sun came out from behind the cloud for a minute. This could actually use even more water. This is just some rainwater that collected underneath one of my potted plants. Rainwater has a lot of water-soluble nitrogen, so beautiful. By the way, if you're new here, hi, my name is Alex, and I garden in containers in southern Missouri, zone 6B. Could err on the side of 7A. It just really depends on how Mother Nature feels right then. So that container is now ready for me to plant carrot seeds in, so let's go do it. So these are the carrot varieties that I have brought outside today, and this specific container, since it is deeper than a lot of the other ones that I plant carrots in, is going to be the Bolero carrots because they are the biggest of these 3 kinds. These Bolero carrots are from Johnny's Seed, and they are a pelleted seed. A pelleted seed is just a seed that has been covered in a clay coating so that it is easier to plant, easier to see and hold on to, because carrot seeds are really, really tiny. This is where we will be planting these carrot seeds. So this is how big that carrot seed is in comparison to a normal one, which is so tiny, smaller than a fennel seed for sure. And these are a lot easier to see. So I'm just going to plop one everywhere that I want a carrot to grow. Pelleted seeds are also good if you don't like to thin your carrots, which means when you plant more than enough in one specific area, and once they sprout, you then have to cut them so that your carrots can actually get big enough and not be overcrowded. And it just really hurts my heart to thin anything, because it's like I'm just wasting the potential of the plant that I started, and that makes me sad. So pelleted carrot seeds have worked really well for me. Carrots can be a little bit of a struggle when it comes to germination. A lot of people have problems, so the pelleted seed is also good because I'm not as worried about the carrot seed being moved from where I initially put it when I water the seeds in. It is really important that your carrot seeds stay moist after you plant them. It is essential in germination that your carrot seeds stay moist for the entire period that they're germinating, which can be up to 3 weeks. Personally, I've usually had it happen closer to 2 weeks, maybe 16 days. It has never taken 3 weeks for me for my carrots to germinate. I have not been counting these as I put them in there, but the last time I grew carrots in here, I did count them, and I think I fit 60 carrots in here. So when I'm spacing my carrots, I don't really read what the pack says. I think about how big around I want my carrots to be, and then I give them a little extra room. So I'll plant 1 carrot seed in a space that's about that big, and just plant 1 in each space that size. Some of them are probably a little bit close together. Maybe the carrots will be slightly smaller, but that is perfectly fine with me. I'm not trying to do it exactly perfect because that takes a lot of time and just seems unnecessary. So taking you closer, you can see all of these little white dots. Sometimes it is a little bit difficult to distinguish between perlite, which is this white dot, and the carrot seed, which is these. So I try not to rough up the soil too much because these ones that are perfectly clean are obviously the carrot seeds, whereas the perlite has some soil mixed in on it. So that is all carrot seed, those bright white dots. And carrot seeds do want to be covered, but they don't want to be very deep, 1/4 of an inch at max. So what I'm gonna do is right here, I have a mix of some soil and some mulch, which was already on top of that container. And I'm just going to grab this and lightly sprinkle it over the top of my container that I just seeded. So that there is some coverage, but not very much depth. We don't want them very deep. Carrot seeds are very small, and the size of a seed basically tells you how much energy that seed has. So there's not a lot of space for a carrot seed to store its energy. So it probably doesn't have very much, considerably less than, say, a bean or a pea. So if you plant a carrot seed too deep into the soil, it simply does not have enough energy to sprout out and reach the top where it needs the sunlight to then photosynthesize and grow. So I'm gonna pat this down a little bit to make sure that the seeds have a nice contact with the soil, but not burying them any deeper. Then this is kind of my tip or trick for your carrot germination problems, is I take a plastic bag. This is a fertilizer bag that I just got done using. Sometimes I use soil bags. You could use a trash bag or a grocery bag, but I just take this and tuck it down onto the container like that. And all that does, since the carrot seeds are so shallow, It helps cover them from the sun so that the soil doesn't lose moisture as quickly, and it helps keep the moisture in that the soil would lose in evaporation. It gets caught on that bag and it can't escape, and then it will condensate back down and go back into the soil. So this is really just to keep it as moist as possible. It's not fully covering all of the edges or anything like that, and I'm not really gonna worry about it. I will water these in probably tonight, but obviously I did put a bunch of water in it, so the soil is pretty moist. Then, this is actually a candle holder, but I haven't put it up anywhere. And things like squirrels and neighborhood cats like to dig in my containers, so I will just put that on top to deter them from digging in there. And hopefully, in about 60 to 70 days-ish, we will have some carrots to eat. So my plan is to try and plant at least 3 successions of carrots that will grow over fall and into the winter, that I can then just keep in the garden beds as a storage option. Instead of having to bring them inside in my house in the refrigerator, they can just stay in the soil until I need to use them. So what we just did is the beginning of the first round of fall carrots. I have those 2 other varieties that I think I'm going to plant in 1 or 2 other containers. And then I have 4 more containers after these initial 3 that will have carrots in them eventually, just not quite yet. I do have plans to pick up a truckload of compost on Monday, so I'm gonna wait at least until then to start the next round. But probably something more like 2 weeks from now, I will start another round of seeds, and then 2 weeks from then, I'll start another round of seeds, and that will be plenty to last through the new year. I just got 2 more of these watering cans of fertilized water and added some to this one. This soil was already pretty moist, and I added a lot to that one. So now both of these are ready for me to seed carrots. These are coral carrots from Baker Creek. I wanted to show you a normal carrot seed versus the pelleted ones that I just showed you a bit ago. These are so tiny. So honestly, with these, I'm not even going to worry about spacing. I'm just going to chaos seed them everywhere. Oh, that was way too many. Oh my god. That's why you should pour it in your hand. So I'm just going to take this soil, actually, and spread it around. And some from right here. And spread it around. That was funny. I'm keeping that in there. Anyway, I'm going to pour some more in my hand. Way too many. Like that. And then just sprinkle them around. And these ones I will have to thin, like I was telling you. And these ones are even smaller, so they want to be covered even less. I'm just gonna, again, take a couple handfuls of this mulch soil mixture and just barely sprinkle it over the top like this. Then I have this old bag from some Happy Frog potting soil. We're gonna lay that on top just like we did the other bag. Just like that. That one's bigger, so it covered more of the container. Keep it nice and moist in there and help deter things from digging in it. Now we're going to plant that one. So these are little finger carrots from Botanical Interests. With these, I'm doing the exact same thing as with the coral carrots. Putting some in my hand, spreading out the soil. And then from a height, I'm just going to sprinkle them in here. You do it from a height because it makes them go more evenly over the whole top of the soil. And that's it. And then a couple handfuls of this mulch soil mixture. Just like that. Remove a roly-poly. Since it will be removed before the carrots are really up above the soil, I'm just going to lay that bag of what I use for mulch on top of it like that, and I'll just have to make sure and come and water the edges of this really well. I plan to keep them really well watered anyway because I really want carrots. Okay guys, right here we have 3 more containers that I just watered down with fertilized water, and now they need to be planted. This is against the newest addition to my garden, which is an arched trellis, and on this side I'm going to be planting peas so that they can climb up. So I've got Sugar Daddy snap peas, Sugar Bond snap peas, Spring Blush peas, and Oregon Sugar Pod peas from Fairy Morse. So I only have a few of these Spring Blush peas left, so I'm going to start with those. And I think I'm going to put a few in each container so that the color can be spread out. 2 here, 1, 2, 3. And these seeds are old, so on some of them I'm just going to double them up for hopes that we have good germination. So that is all of our Spring Blush peas. And then I want to do some of these Sugar Bond snap. They're the thicker ones rather than the really flat pods. And the Sugar Bond snap. You know what? I'm just going to put a few of each in each container and call it good. So we'll add 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, maybe double some up. That's Sugar Bond snap, and then we have Sugar Daddy snap. I'm going to be planting these pretty close together because I grow in containers, like I said, so I try to maximize my spacing as much as possible. And peas do pretty well when they're overcrowded, still decently enough that it's not going to harm my harvest at all. So let's just do a few of these. I'm probably putting them in the end around 2 inches apart, and 1 to 2 seeds per hole. So some of the seed is pretty far away from the trellis itself. That means I will have to train these to go up the trellis at first, but once they attach themselves, they will be attached, and that will be perfectly fine. So we're just gonna go through and push these 1/2 inch-ish down into the soil. Like that. And now we've got peas planted. The last thing that we will be planting together today is 2 different kinds of kale. I have a Nero Toscana, which is also called lacinato or dinosaur kale, and I have dazzling blue. These are the only 2 kinds I've ever grown. I really love both of them. They've always done really well for me, and let's get them planted. I'm going to do the Nero Toscana kale in this end container. I'm just going to make a little well in the center and plant quite a few seeds. That was maybe 8, and then pat them down, and that be done. And since I have an odd number, I'm going to do the other 2 with the dazzling blue. I can always start more kale in a different container at some point, but this is all we're going to be planting today. Dazzling blue kale, and over here also dazzling blue kale. Usually after planting seeds directly in my garden, I would cover my soil with mulch, and I do have mulch, but like I said, I'm getting a load of compost on Monday, and once these plants that I just started from seed are just above the soil enough, I will be topping these beds with compost so that they're full of nutrients over the winter, and that will also add to the soil structure, making it even easier for me to keep it nice in the spring. So we've got 3 different kinds of peas, 3 different kinds of carrots, and 2 different kinds of kale, all planted in the garden today, and it feels very good. Before I go, let me show you this new trellis, because I'm so happy about it. So here is the garden. This is the tomato trellis that I already had, and just down the way over here, excuse the ladder, that's what you guys were sitting on, I have this arch. We've got 2 cattle panels and 6 T-posts attached with wire ties. There are 5 containers down each side of the trellis, and honestly, it really does feel like a tunnel now. I'm so excited. This is going to be so helpful for growing things that like to vine or grab onto stuff such as cucumbers, peas. I grow my tomatoes upwards so I could grow tomatoes up here, pumpkins, loofahs, lots of different kinds of squash. The possibilities really are endless. I love this thing so much. It was for sure worth the wait. Pretty soon, the peas we just planted are going to be growing right up that trellis with no problems so quickly. So here's a look at what we just planted on the trellis. There's a couple of containers that already have stuff in them down here. I am so excited for this. It just makes the garden feel so magical and whimsical, you know? Like I can walk through and underneath my plants once they grow up there. Okay, you guys, that is all that I have time to do in the garden today. But this has given me a lot of motivation and excitement for the fall season that is coming. And I will be out here very soon planting more seeds, and as always, I will take you guys along with me. So that is all for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here, and I will see you all very soon in the next one.